The room was quiet, the kind of quiet that feels heavy on the chest. A soft yellow light from a small lamp touched the old wooden walls. Outside the window, rain fell slowly, tapping again and again, like time reminding everyone that it never stops. In the center of the room stood a piano. It was not new. Its black surface had faded in places. Some keys were slightly yellow, but it was clean, cared for, and loved. A person stood near the door, holding a small bag. Their hand trembled, not from cold, but from fear of leaving, fear of words that were never said. This place had once been full of sound, laughter, late-night talks, simple meals shared on the floor, and most of all, music. The piano had seen everything. Years ago, this room had felt warm even in winter. Sunlight would enter through the window every morning, landing gently on the piano keys. Back then, someone would sit there every day, sometimes happy, sometimes tired, sometimes broken inside, but always honest when fingers touched the keys. Music was the language used here when words failed. The person near the door looked back at the piano. Their eyes filled with tears, but none fell yet. There was no anger in their face, only sadness and regret. Life had changed slowly, not all at once it always does. At first, there were small misunderstandings, unanswered questions, long silences after short fights. Then came distance, not physical distance, emotional distance. The piano still played sometimes, but not like before. The songs became shorter, softer. Notes that once danced now moved slowly, as if unsure where to go. The room remembered it all. Tonight felt different. Tonight felt final. The person checked the time. 1 minute left. 1 minute before goodbye. They wanted to speak. They really did. So many words lived inside their chest. I'm sorry. I tried. I still care. I never meant to hurt you. But the throat felt closed. The heart felt too full. Then they heard footsteps. Another person entered the room quietly. No names were spoken. No greetings. Just two people standing in the same space, sharing memories without looking at each other. The second person looked thinner than before. Their eyes carried tiredness, but also something else, hope, maybe, or fear. They glanced at the bag near the door. So, this was real. The rain outside grew louder. Seconds passed. No one spoke. Finally, the second person moved toward the piano. Slow steps, careful steps. Like they were afraid the floor might break under the weight of the moment. Tay sat down. The bench made a soft sound. The first person's heart began to race. They knew what was coming. The piano had always been the bridge between them. Fingers hovered above the keys. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a single note. Soft, gentle, honest. Then another, and another. The melody began slowly, like someone walking through memories. Each note carried something unspoken. Apologies, love, pain, gratitude. The room changed. The walls seemed closer. The air felt warmer. The first person felt tears roll down their face now. They did not wipe them away. This song was not planned. It was not perfect. But it was true. As the music continued, memories returned like waves. The first night they brought the piano into this room, they had laughed, struggling to move it through the narrow door. The first song played together, fingers touching by accident, both pretending not to notice. The night the music stopped because of an argument that lasted weeks. The time they almost left before but stayed. Every note held a moment. The piano spoke what the heart could not say. I am sorry for the silence. I am sorry for not listening. I was scared too. The first person took a step forward, then another. They stood behind the piano now, close enough to feel the warmth of the other person's shoulders. Still, no words. The music grew stronger. Not loud but deep. It was a song of goodbye, but also of thanks. Thanks for the mornings. Thanks for the shared dreams. Thanks for loving, even when love hurt. The rain outside slowed, as if listening. The first person placed a hand gently on the piano's side. Their fingers shook. They wanted to stop time. They wanted another chance. But life doesn't ask what we want. It moves forward anyway. The final part of the song began, slower now. Softer, like a candle burning low. The second person's eyes closed as they played. Tears slipped down, landing silently on the keys. This was harder than speaking, but also easier, because music never lies. When the last note faded, the room fell silent again, heavier than before. The second person stayed still, hands resting on the keys. The first person swallowed hard. 30 seconds left. They opened their mouth. Nothing came out. Fear won again. The second person stood up slowly. They turned around. For the first time that night, their eyes met. No anger. No blame. Just sadness. And understanding. They both knew. Some goodbyes don't need words. The second person gave a small nod. Not cold. Not distant. Just accepting. The first person picked up the bag. Their legs felt weak. They moved toward the door, every step feeling like 1,000. At the door, they stopped. They looked back one last time. The piano stood quietly now, like it had said everything already. The lamp flickered slightly. The rain began again. 10 seconds left. The first person placed their hand on the door handle. Their heart screamed what their mouth never could. But instead of words, a memory echoed the song. The truth, the love that existed, even if it could not stay. The door opened. Light from the hallway entered the room, stretching long shadows across the floor. 5 seconds. The second person did not follow. They stayed near the piano. Because some endings must be faced alone. The door closed softly. Click. Silence. The piano remained, and in that quiet, something unfinished still lived. Something waiting, in the quiet hum of a city that never sleeps. Two souls, once intertwined like the melody and harmony of a perfect song, chose to walk separate paths. Their story didn't end in a clash of thunder, but in a soft, lingering silence, the kind that echoes louder than any word. At the heart of their shared world was an old upright piano, its ivory keys worn smooth by years of laughter, tears, and countless duets. When they parted, the music stopped. He found himself wandering through nameless streets, the city's vibrant pulse, a stark contrast to the hollow beat in his chest. He'd pass by cafes where they once shared secrets over steaming mugs, parks where they'd watch seasons change, each landmark a ghost of a memory. He tried to fill the silence with noise-loud music, crowded bars, the superficial chatter of new acquaintances. But the quiet always found its way back, and in it, he heard the faint, melancholic notes of their last song on the piano. He remembered her fingers dancing on the keys, her head tilted just so, lost in the world they created together. The memory was a double-edged sword, a sweet poison that both comforted and tormented him. Meanwhile, she returned to the small coastal town where she grew up, trading the city's concrete canyons for the endless expanse of the ocean. She walked the shoreline for hours, the rhythmic crash of waves a soothing balm to her fractured heart. She thought the distance would muffle the echoes of their life together, but the piano's melody followed her, carried on the sea breeze. She saw their reflections in the shimmering water, remembering the day he surprised her with the piano, a clumsy, beautiful gesture of love. She enrolled in a local pottery class, hoping the tactile sensation of shaping clay would ground her, mold her sorrow into something tangible, something she could understand and eventually let go. Her hands, once accustomed to the piano keys, now learned a new language, one of earth and water. Months bled into a year. He started visiting a local library, losing himself in the stories of others. He discovered poetry, finding solace in the verses of Rumi and Neruda, who spoke of love and loss with a wisdom that seemed to span centuries. One afternoon, he stumbled upon a community center advertising piano lessons for beginners. A strange pull, a mix of fear and longing, led him to sign up. His first lesson was awkward. His fingers, stiff and uncertain, fumbled over the keys. It wasn't their piano, and the song was unfamiliar. But as he practiced, note by painful note, he wasn't just learning music. He was learning to play for himself. The melodies were no longer tinged with her absence, but filled with his own nascent hope. He was composing the soundtrack to his own new beginning. She, in her quiet town, began to find her rhythm. Her pottery pieces, initially clumsy and misshapen, started taking on a simple, elegant form. She found a part-time job at a local bookstore, surrounded by the scent of old paper and fresh ink. One day a traveling musician set up an electric keyboard near the town square. He played simple, joyful tunes, and a small crowd gathered. She watched from a distance, a gentle smile playing on her lips. The music didn't hurt anymore. It was just music, a beautiful, universal language that belonged to everyone and no one. She realized the piano wasn't a symbol of what she had lost, but a testament to her capacity to love, to feel, to create beauty. The love was real, and so was the pain, but neither defined her. They were simply chords in the grand composition of her life. One crisp autumn evening, he sat at the community center's piano. The room empty, save for the janitor's distant whistling. He played a piece he had composed himself. It was a simple melody, not a grand symphony, but it was wholly his. It spoke of rainy city nights, of lonely walks, of finding light in unexpected corners. It was a song of acceptance, a quiet acknowledgement of the past, and a hopeful glance toward the future. It was a song of peace. Miles away, she placed a vase she had made on her windowsill, filling it with wild daisies she'd picked on her walk home. The setting sun cast a warm, golden glow on the ceramic, illuminating its imperfections and its unique beauty. She hummed a tune, a light, airy melody that had come to her as she walked by the sea. It was a song of contentment, of the simple joy of being, of the quiet strength found in solitude. It was a song of peace. They never saw each other again. There was no dramatic reunion, no final conversation to tie up loose ends. Their story didn't need one. Their love hadn't failed. It had simply run its course. It was a beautiful, significant chapter in their lives, but it was not the whole book. In their separate worlds, under the same moon, they had both learned to play a new song. And though they played it alone, the music was just as beautiful. They had found harmony within themselves, realizing that the most profound love stories are sometimes the ones we write for ourselves, after the duet is ended and the solo begins. Thank you for watching.